to this computer. All right, we're getting to object-oriented programming, which is one of the current paradigms for programming. We're going to look at the car. The car class is always a good one. So when we create a class, we are creating a skeleton, outline, architecture plan. You know, we're defining what the object's going to be. We can make as many objects as we wish. When we get to object-oriented programming with Java and C++, yeah, there's going to be a lot more code because Python automatically creates a lot of things for you in the background that Java and C++ do not. So here we are. Here's our class called car, and the convention in Python is to name them with camel case. You know, a capital for each word that's in it. Objects are done the same way as variables. Because in some, you can think of as my car as an object. It just contains several, it could contain methods, it could contain all sorts of things. So have we been using methods all along? You betcha. Anytime we create an object and say dot something, we've been using methods, we've been using object-oriented programming. It's just we've been using what's built into Python. This is not a method, this is a function because it doesn't have something dot print. That's how you can tell the difference. A function stands alone. If it's a method, it has my car dot something. So up here, we have our class. You don't have to have an init, but you can. That means that when you initialize it, you can add the variables to it at the same time. And I'm hoping I do one with the default constructor too. Oh, maybe I don't. So I probably should go through that. Getter setters.
Default constructor, you mean like the.
No, I don't do
like
a
they-
default constructor. Okay,
Like you have a variable that's already assigned.
correct. That's how you do default constructors in Python. So for instance, if I want to do something like this, and I do my other car. Whoops, and I'm sure I do this later on, but
I feel like you did it once and I can't remember.
so there's my other car. But what if, yeah. What if I wanted to be, I didn't want to create it with everything that's in it? I could do this. Oh, but it doesn't like that. It wants to keep putting things in. I need to turn off Copilot. Boy, I don't know how to turn, I forget how to turn them off. Code completions in Python. Okay, there we go. I'll turn that off. I mean, it's very helpful when you're working on things and want to get it done, but when you're trying to explain things, it's annoying. So what happens if we run this? Well, let's see what happens. Uh-oh, it's missing 2 required positional arguments. Positional arguments means it's not by name, but by position. The first one is model, the second one is year. So we can put in a default value. My default value is going to be Ford. Well, that's not right. There. And I would put in, what's the year? We'll put in 1959. There. So what happens is, if you put in parameters or arguments, they go into model and year. If you don't put in arguments, then we have a Ford 1959. There. So that's more flexible, because then you can create it either way. You can create it also with 1. If I do Chevy here, that will work. But I can't not put this one in and ask for the second one because they're positional. But I can do this. Right? I just can't not do that and do that. We'd have to use keyword arguments to do that, which we're not at that point yet. The other thing that's a good idea to do with any of these things is put in what's called type hinting. That's what we use the colon for, I think. No, it's a, no,
It's
dot, it's that guy. No, that's at the end. Anyway, I'm not gonna go there because I can't remember it. So now, what is this self dot business? Let's not get too far off the track here. What's the self dot business? What's that about? What's the difference between this and this? That is the pregunta. Yes, that one?
The self makes it part of the object, so we're just taking what user inputted for initializing the class and then putting it on the object.
Right. And it is a copy. So there's still this variable out here coming in. This value gets copied into here, and then we can access. The nice thing about object-oriented programming is unless you're going to take something from the outside and put it into the object, you don't ever have to use parameters, because self means that that thing belongs to the object. So for instance, if we wanted to have, we wanted to do a string, a string method, we have to return it. But then we can, we could return self.model. We don't have to put any parameters in there. There. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh. Forgot. Every method has to have self in it to make it belong to the object. That's what the self keyword does. With Java, it's this. I can't remember what it is in C++. But now we can return this and access that method. And the underscore, the dunder method str means that you can put together a string that's exactly what you want, and then you just print the object. So if I print my car, that will return whatever is up here. And that's a fairly common way to get a representation of the object, a very simple one, so you can see what's in it. And sometimes it's used for output and display. So there, I have Toyota. So the advantage of that is that I can format this how I want it to look here, and then I can use it with graphic, Flask, whatever. It's the same stuff. But notice the difference between self, because we're accessing it inside the object, and how we're accessing it here. The my car is the object dot model doesn't have a parenthesis, so that means that it is it's a variable inside the object, but actually we never access it like this. So let's go to the one where we actually access it properly, because you want to use getters and setters. Let's see here. We'll look at the book one has like everything in it. Yeah, let's look at the book one, because it has all the goodies. We have our init, because we're creating a book. We have the title and the author. What is this underscore thing all about? Self.underscore title. What does that do?
It's private.
Yeah, it's private. Is it strictly enforced? No, not in Python. You can't strictly enforce it. So it's more of a convention that when people see that, they know that you're not supposed to go self.underscore title.
So when I was doing solo and stuff, they always have you do double underscores for the private. Why would they do that?
The double underscores are actually for the background class, and it's used in Python.
Okay.
The single underscore is typically what you do when you're doing your own thing, like the dunder, str, that's part of the Python programming language.
Okay.
And some people will use double underscores.
Okay.
It's not illegal to do it.
Right.
It's just, this is more of the convention, is to use a single underscore to show the difference between this and a dunder method, double underline method, which is part of Python.
Okay.
So we have a getter, that means we're getting something from the object and returning it to the outside world. This means we're bringing something in and setting a value inside the object. So this is going out, this is coming in, because we're referring to these from the object centric. So the object, we get information from let's go down here. So if I do book set title, I'm setting this values into my object. If I want to get the values out of the object, I use get. So we look at it from the object point of view. And this is one way to do it. The nice thing about learning how to do object getters and setters like this is that's how Java and C++ and many other languages do it. They use separate getters and setters. C# does a properties thing kind of like Python does, which is sort of a shortcut. I don't know that we go beyond getters and setters here yet, but we'll go do the other thing. Yeah, it'll be later on. We'll go do that. The next one is just talking about encapsulation. No, that's not the right one, is it? Oh, I already did. The book is encapsulated. What does encapsulated mean? All these are encapsulated. What is encapsulated? What's encapsulation mean?
That means it's limited to that area, like locally, right?
Yep, all the information about the book is right here. There's nothing outside that has any information about the book. So that's what encapsulation means. You're putting everything in a capsule. You have your methods, you have all your attributes, it's all in one thing. That's all that means. And all of these are doing that. So I'm saying, take a look at that. So online video game store, who doesn't want to make one of those? Wouldn't that make a nice Code Guru project? So we want to store a class or whatever you want to call it. We want a title and a price. We want a string method. We want getters and setters. We want 3 sample game titles. You can hard code it or have people type it in. That's up to you. And when you do the str method, we're going to display all the available games, which means that when we print video game store, we're going to get all that information. So if we're going to do 3 records, so to speak. Oh, we can't do that because you create each game by a method and it's an object. Yeah, that's not going to work. Display the available games. There. Because you're going to end up with three. No, you're not. Let me look at the solution. Now my brain just went dead and. All right, one of the things that we haven't looked at yet is what sort of things do you suppose we can store in an attribute? Right here, we're only storing single items. But could we store things in a list, in a dictionary? Sure, they're just a variable. We would do it a little bit differently. So say we're setting the title to a book. This sets it to a singular value, right? So if we initialize title as a list, see, now it's a list. We probably need self.title to be empty first, don't we?
See ya.
Equals. No, I need an empty list. How do I do a empty list?
Like that.
Now it's giving me a static here. Oh, because it doesn't match this, that's why. There. No, that's not working either. It did something wrong. Well, you get to take a look at the game. Because that shows how to do it. You don't have to put a user in there. I just did. I don't know what I was thinking. So.
Oh, you do it equal to the brackets.
Yeah, see, I have a game and I have a class and all that stuff, but yes, I was doing it wrong. So you have self games. Yeah, this is way more complicated than you needed. I probably just decided to keep going for a while or something. So self games equals that. Then when you add the game, which would be the same as setting, I could say set game. I just figured add game made more sense. You add that in as your singular variable, it appends to this list. Self.games as a list is part of it, part of the object. And when we display games, or we could use an oh, I didn't use an str, did I? Okay, I could have. I just chose display names. I mean, it wouldn't be that much different. To do that, but you can figure out how to do that. So that would be how you do it. You have a list. I just didn't build mine exactly according to my specifications. But that's how that works. Yeah, I did a whole like point of sale thing for video games here. Yeah, you don't have to do anything quite like this unless you wish to. And maybe build it into a project later on down the line. That ends our basic review and a couple basically gets us up to the point where we left Python. Then we'll move into inheritance and other stuff. Because that's where we want to head for the new things. I'll just say using a display method. That'll make it easier. Questions? Everybody's good? Okay, what time is it? Oh, yeah, we got time because I don't really think I need to go through anything else because we talked about the project. This is just yet another calculator thing going into C++. We went through that last week. Yeah, how the rest is self-evident. We went, this is just a continuation.
We used Olama last week.
Oh, okay. Well, LM Studio is actually a friendlier way.
Oh,
As far as back ends, Olama can be used easier than LM Studio because it has lots of command line things. But we may end up using something else depending on what you guys have discovered as you're researching local AI.
I think
Doing private AI.
the easiest way.
Which way?
Olama. The model that was gonna be what we need to figure out for Olama.
Yeah, we do need to be able to control it and access it from Python, and I'm assuming you can.
I know you can.
Okay.
And I guess technically, even if it did become an issue for Python, we could just make a quick script in a different language and then just have your.
Oh, no. We're gonna do Python. There are libraries for working with AI, like PyTorch is one that I can remember.
You could get some to just say, when you can use your Python to get your main stuff out of it, and then you can just plug that in to save stuff to that, and just have to do a little transfer and thing, but.
I'll say PyTorch and some of those libraries automate a lot of that for you.
Yeah.
So you'd want to do OLLAMA and Python. And as a matter of fact, there we are. There's an Olama library.
Yeah. I saw that with
So that'd be a good, because it already has chat and chat response built into it. I didn't say we had to build everything from scratch.
you never do. Somebody's already made the wheel.
Yeah, so yeah, looks like actually a good way to do it.
I should put that one in the research, man.
Somebody should.
Alright.
Not me. That was the first thing that came up when I typed it in. And I thought, oh yeah, that's just what we want.
I'll put it in later if nobody
The
else.
other thing is to figure out, how can we train it and add our stuff? Because before we implement it, we may want to do something like this out of the box, just see if we can get it to work. And then figure out how to train it.
Cause as long as cause it looks like that when they do that, it looks like it's still using it on the back end. So I think as long as we prompt it on the back end and get it made on the back end, we should just be able to implement that main one.
I have to build your own model. Dude. Maybe we don't want to train it.
Well, cause I think on the Olama side of things, at least on the developer plugin branch, you can use a previous model and
To
then,
build from?
yeah. And then I think as long as you have your prompts in there, made for what you do there, then you can just basically port it over as a newer version. of
Yeah, we
that.
want to use, and there's two different ways to use it, and context augmented whatever is the one we want.
Yeah,
So that's the newer one, and that's supposed to be better from what I could gather. Context, augmentation, something.
interesting.
Oh, there it is. Or maybe we do RAG, I don't know. Yeah. But that would allow us to add our stuff into it. One of those two things would allow us to fairly easily add our own things,
Mhm.
I think. But that's part of the research, is figure out what's a good way to do this. And I'm not researching it because that's your guys' job. I got plenty of other things to do. I'm behind in my grading, that sort of stuff. All right, I think we're good for today. Are you good, Joe? I'm imagining you are.
Yeah, actually, today I learned a lot.
Okay, good. That's the idea.